It's really interesting because it's like a program where like you learn all of these things, and I'm like, Jillian, 9/11. You're like, I know more about 9/11 than you know. Like I didn't get that. I know exactly how it's going to happen, and you're like, it's not going to happen exactly the way you think. And so I knew you knew. I'm from LA, and a lot of that has to do with the acceleration of culture. And I wanted to tell you a couple stories real quick, just to kind of put things in perspective. I didn't get the information from you. I had the information to meet you. I didn't understand because you wouldn't confirm anything with me. When I was in the third grade in LA, something very interesting happened. I was at Our Lady of Grace, and I was doing. I don't remember the specifics because they kind of deprogrammed me of it. But basically, I was able to take 735 times 95, and I was in the third grade, and I wouldn't have to do the mathematical problem. I would just know the answer. And based off of the teacher, Miss Abner, who I spoke to on Facebook, um, she called my parents in many times. This is before I was taken on putting into public school. And she would say, do the test again. There was no one in the classroom. She didn't suspect me of cheating, I don't think. But my mom and dad would come in and get furious. How the hell do you know the answer? How the hell do you know the answer? And I'm like, I just know the answer. And they're like, well, where's your proof? Where's your proof? And I'm like, I just know the answer. And so finally, I realized what they wanted me to do, and it was to do the mathematical problem the way it's supposed to be done. But I didn't know that as a child. And so I would come up with the answer, and then I would try to reverse engineer the number that I knew was the answer. And sometimes I would get them wrong, but I realized my teacher was seeing something. What? Well, if you're going to get a multiplication problem wrong, you're going to get it wrong by more than a couple digits. So if the final answer was 2,190, I was getting 2,180. You know what I mean? And the teacher saw there was something weird with that. But she wasn't going to tell my parents I was gifted. Other teachers in my life have told me that, and I had no clue what they were talking about. But the one big event that occurred, through a lot of luck of me getting into Crespi, was I was in summer school every fucking year for mathematics at Crespi, and you could not come back the following year if you had an F during the regular year. You had to take it in summer school. And if you failed it in summer school, you couldn't come back. Now, this is my senior year. I'm like one of the most popular kids at the school. We only had 400 students. And my teacher, who loved me, my teachers all thought I was the funniest guy in the world, goes, I can give you all the extra credit in the world, dude. I'm telling you right now, like, if you don't ace the final and you haven't even passed one test, you're not going to be able to come back, dude. You're on the football team and everything. They're going to kick you out, like, before the best year of your life. And I'm like, shit. And I studied math so hard. Like, 90% of my studying time was for math. So I was so angry about this. In other words, it wasn't an issue of me being lazy. Like, I really couldn't get the mathematical problems right. So when the final came around, and it was worth like 50% of our total exam, my teacher, Mr. Schuster, who was only like 28 at the time, he did this very fun, like, kind of way of doing the final exam. It was a 6-hour class every day. Then I would go to football practice, etc. And what it was you would do these problems, mathematical problems, about 40 of them. And then at the end of that, he gave us a yellow pages. And the answer to like number one would lead us to a page in the yellow pages, for example. The answer to number two would lead us to, okay, well, according to the key here, the letter C. And he goes, okay, once you guys can give me the exact name, address, and phone number of who this is, that's the final answer. That's your A. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm working on it. Dude, I didn't even know how to get any of them correct. There was one that I thought might be correct. But there's no way I'm going to get the answer to this. And my friends are knowing, like, dude, you're going to get kicked out, dude. You're not going to be able to come back. And, he tried his best to help me and everything like that. And finally, I just said, and I wrote down her name, Simi Valley, California, and a phone number. We were a half hour into the test that was going to take 6 hours. And I walked up and I handed it to him. And the class goes crazy, dude. What are you doing, Don? Don, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to get kicked out. I said, I know it's correct. How do you know it's correct? I know it's correct. So they're all tripping out and being like, Don, don't do it. I go, trust me. It's correct. He goes, it can't be correct. I go, why? He goes, because I haven't finished my final yet. I'm in class doing this with you guys. We won't know the answer until the end of the day. I go, it's correct. And I walked down. And I passed the class because I got it correct. The test was correct. Now, I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I wasn't trying to bother anybody. And that teacher was just a summer school teacher. That teacher showed up 8 months later to my graduation at Crespi. And I'm like, oh, Mr. Schuster, what's up? You know, it was so awesome and cool and this and that. I wonder why he showed up at my final graduation day. Now, you don't have to believe that story. But if it is true, you'll realize, what? Don already knew what I knew. Yeah. You should have told me that.